It first begins with being able to listen, being able to listen deeply to the land, being able to listen to the ancestors, to allow the wisdom that is within our lineage to really shine forth in what we do, guide our work. I feel that that capacity for deep listening is what allows for the co-creation to have meaning and not just be subject to the ego or the human will, but be a part of nature. Agroecology, yeah? It's like to be a part of something grand and beautiful. We have to be able to recognize that we are part of that to create, co-create something that is going to be last for generations to come.
And the co-creation of knowledge, listening um, to peers, peer review, to the producers of knowledge, um, and the question of what they perceive as knowledge, what the soil is telling us, listening to um, things that don't publish in the normal ways that knowledge is produced. Being able to tune into those wavelengths, I think, is part of the co-creation. Um, you can listen, you can observe, you can walk with, um, and these listening. There's a lot of feedback, just listening to the soil here at our farm. Uh, it's there's we're getting the mycelium, the roots of the plants, um, the whole the microbial life in the soil does speak, and so listening to that as the basis of our land work, um, and similar with um, other non-human uh, and other types of beings, our ancestors. When we listen, they start to speak through our dreams, through our subconscious, through our art and our culture, our song and dance. There's songs that are passed down to us and recipes that are also knowledge that we're handed, and so yeah, there's a lot that we can tune into that's just available for us uh, to know along with, rather than kind of apply our way of knowing to everything else.
As you were saying that, it reminded me of erasing this concept of other.
Mm.
It's like you have to be in kinship in order to recognize the vitality uh, and the wisdom that exists between human and non-human forms of life.
Hmm.
Uh, and that aspect sometimes is missing even in our very society, that like we have beings that appear in this human form, but we don't give life and respect to that to be able to co-create knowledge with.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
usually like giving knowledge to
Hmm. Hmm.
instead of being with.
Yeah, and the sites of knowledge production that are legitimized, the university, the academy, um, uh, produced knowledge, 100 years ago, saying that uh, myself and Izula are not human. Anthropology. Um, there's still archives that have, human remains. Well, the human parts in question, but remains of, you know, um, but that's, the listening to um, what's in the archive of the academy, because there's a lot of sacred objects, there's a lot of stolen objects, there's a lot of actual human remains that create the basis of anthropology. So the co-creation of knowledge, there's data that's extracted from those bones, but there's also our memories that we can talk about, and our the epistemologies of dehumanized folks, colonized peoples, our stories of struggle, our stories of survival, um, have found very little room in the academy, even though they're actually on the shelf in the archive. So yeah, there's a horizontality or a sitting together, and that needs to be established to create the conditions for the co-creation of knowledge. Because I every once in a while I get a whiff of what's in the archive because these bones do speak. They just like the African burial grounds under New York City, Wall Street, when um, space is being recreated, um, the soil is telling us what was there before. And so, yeah, that's listening. Going back to that listening is I think really important. I like that we were able to have a little after party or mini gathering of agroecologists here on a farm. Agroecology as farming practice instead of agroecology as framing discourse. And also, in the spirit of co-creation, I don't think we should privilege one over the other. You know, I think it is they're both work. The work that academics do, the work that scholars do, and the work that people with hands on the land do, and they can both be embodied in the same person. And I think that's the maybe the in building toward agroecology in this territory, and just the being able to struggle on both at both ends of the um, at both levels the discourse. This is what agroecology is, and the being able to come to network on farm agroecology experiments, uh, farms, ideas with the folks who are engaged in discourse. I think that's where I'd like to see it go. Yeah.
I feel that that's a big part of where I feel that it is going and is the ground is being prepared for here. Like with our returning generation, Black farmers, uh, it's a fellowship. It's a means of transmitting wisdom across generations from those who have experienced these hardships, have these stories of land being taken from them
Hmm.
and having to be neighbors with the children of those who took that land from their families and finding the ways to try and make peaceful paths forward that are graceful and just at the same time. And I feel like that really gives momentum to this movement that La Via Campesina has shared across the globe,
Hmm.
uh, and understanding that that fellowship is the basis of the justice that we are able to create, that listening with each other, that transmission of knowledge, that transmission of skills that are shared across culture,
Hmm.
language, time,
Hmm.
space.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was powerful listening to the story of the maize, the story of the seed. To go back to your point, listening to the seeds is like there's so much knowledge that and experience, wisdom that's embodied in every seed, and then it grows, and then there's knowledge on the cultivation and the preparation, and then the sharing, and then the sharing of knowledge and recipes, um, and that's yeah, that's another form of listening. I think that. Oh, and that the um, in my book, I had my little book signed, but somebody wrote, they tried to bury us, but they forgot that we were seeds. Um, I think that's. There was another quote from one of the elders that said that old seeds, new hope, in regards to this struggle over agroecology and the path forward, with all the wisdom embodied in those seeds, old seeds, seeds that have survived genocide, colonialism. There's still a new hope that the ground can be prepared for these seeds to germinate. The conditions can be possible for these seeds to germinate and be cared for